Good morning, good morning. It is Monday the 16th of March. This is AI with Kyle. We're going to be walking through the latest AI news of the day, and then I'm going to be giving you some resources for using Claude Skills. So I'm going to give you a couple of repositories that have a large amount of skills that you'll be able to browse into, because last week I did a presentation about what skills were. Short version, it's basically like Neo in the Matrix, and the ability to slap a skill, slap a domain expertise directly into your AI and have at your fingertips experts from any domain. So I'm going to be going through where we can find, I think it was 80,000 different skills, too many skills. I'm going to show you how you can find the good ones. So we'll be getting to that. First though, I wanted to have a look at this. You've probably seen this going around the internet. The official version was actually removed. We'll talk about that in a moment. But what this is, if you have ever invested or been interested in the stock market, you might recognize this kind of chart table. I'm not even sure what you can call it. But green basically shows that something is healthy and is in a good place. Red shows that something is in trouble. So generally we use this kind of visualization to show stock market moves up and down. Now, Andrej Karpathy, the co-creator of ChatGPT, actually put together this chart, as I'll talk about in a moment. This is a copy of his version. Andrej Karpathy pulled all the data using a research agent and worked out the level of AI exposure of the US job market. So he worked out for pretty much every sector, every single type of job, how exposed they are to artificial intelligence. So something like hand laborers and material movers, for example, are only 2 out of 10 in terms of exposure to artificial intelligence. So the core duties of this occupation are fundamentally physical, involving manual movement, cleaning and packing of heavy materials in unpredictable real-world environments. So robots aren't very good at that, certainly not yet. While AI can optimize logistics, routing and inventory tracking, the physical labor itself is resistant to AI and requires advanced robotics rather than software-based intelligence to automate. So that is an example of something that is in a good position. And you can see we also have the data. It has the median pay is $38,000. Jobs in 2024, about 7 million people, and outlook 4%. Education, no formal educational credential. So that is an example of a job that's in a pretty good position. Let's have a look at one that is highly exposed. Here we go. Software developers. AI exposure 9 out of 10. This is software developers, quality assurance analysts and testers. Median pay $130,000. There are 2 million of them, 1.9 million of them in the US. And it's fundamentally digital, with core tasks like coding, debugging, and test automation being primary use cases for large language models. So that is an example of a highly at-risk job. So what Andrej Karpathy did was he analyzed 143 million jobs, and he worked out the exposure across these different types of jobs, how much wage exposure there is. So $3.7 trillion worth of wage exposure could be wiped out of the US job market, which has ramifications and impact on other jobs that require people to have incomes to pay for the goods and services. That's the second order effect. And as you can imagine, this chart caused quite a lot of upset. A lot of people were, terrified, let's put it that way, to see this. Now, Andrej Karpathy, interestingly, actually removed his data. He took it down. So let's have a quick look at that. There's a guy called Josh Kale. He works for Bankless, so host and producer at Bankless. He said Karpathy scored every job in America on AI replacement risk. Then he deleted it. It went viral last night. This was a few days ago. Elon replied. News outlets picked it up. So I brought it back to life. So basically, Karpathy posted it as kind of an interesting little research task that he'd done, probably using his new research agent, which he built last week. He has a fully autonomous research agent that checks its own work. Really cool thing. Published it. People started to take a lot of notice, and Andrej Karpathy was like, this could be a problem, and deleted it. So this guy, Josh, cloned the entire repo to play around with it before it went down. So every file, the scoring data, the full pipeline, the interactive visualizations, all of it. And that's what we see here. This is Josh Kale's version of Andrej Karpathy's project. So because Andrej Karpathy had released it, publicly on GitHub. People were able to make copies of it. The data was too noteworthy to let vanish. 342 occupations scored 0 to 10 on how much AI will reshape them. Average exposure across the entire US economy, 5.3 out of 10. If your job lives on a screen, it is worth taking a look. This is what I've been saying I was about to say all of last week, but no, I've been saying this for months. If your job is primarily sitting down at a computer and moving things around on a computer, moving around data, moving around text, moving around information, your job is massively at risk. But anything, if you sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, you might be in trouble. That is the big takeaway here. Oh, here's the original post from Andrej. Oh, no, it isn't. So it was published for about 10 hours before Andrej Karpathy took it down. So you can find this at joshkale.github.io/job. So it's on Josh's GitHub. So this is what the repo looks like. Again, this is cloned from Andrej Karpathy. He fully says that. He's even got Andrej as a contributor here. And you can get the live demo, the kind of UI version here. Can we zoom in on it? How do we get to these smaller ones? Like this one here is medical dosimetrist. Can't even say it. Somebody who does calculations, image analysis, and digital treatment planning. That's 8 out of 10. So I recommend you go and find your job here. Actually, if you are on the live chat, you can tell me what your job is, and I can see if I can find it. My job is scored 9, says Vindaloo, 9 out of 10. So I'm assuming that your job is in front of a computer primarily. And if that is the case, yeah, this is going to be an issue. What else we've got? So these are like administrative down here, this big left block here. So secretaries, 8 out of 10. Customer service, 9 out of 10. So that's 3 million jobs and 3.5 million jobs. 6.5 million jobs there. General office clerks, 2.5 million people. We have to remember these are people. Receptionist, bookkeeping. Ooh, yeah. I've been doing my bookkeeping with the assistance of AI recently, so I get that. Up here is healthcare. Now, interestingly, the physicians, the actual doctors, is 5 out of 10, so that's much higher risk, whereas something like home health and professional care aides and registered nurses and nursing assistants is less. Again, nurses is the job that I often use as an example of something that's probably safer. And home health, so working in like a retirement center, for example, or going to people's houses and giving them assistance is a safe job, again, because it is physical. It is non-algorithmic. Every single day you're going to be dealing with different stuff, basically, so that cannot be reduced to a set of instructions, and it relies on empathy as well. So those are the big three as far as I'm concerned. Physicality, are you operating in the real world or are you operating on a computer? How repetitive is your job? If your job is different every single day, like a home health or a nursing assistant who has to just deal with come what may, then you're in a safer position. And if your job relies on human contact, communication, empathy, then it's also going to be safer than a job that does not require. So that means we come over here to software developers. We have software developers 9 out of 10, customer support specialists 8 out of 10, customer systems analysis 8 out of 10, network systems administrators 8 out of 10, etc. This is the big target right now over the next couple of years. And this is a rough place to be in at the moment because these jobs are digital. They're not in the physical world. You are at a computer. AIs are in the computer. They are more conversant with the computer than you and I are. It is also generally algorithmic. It is not necessarily about doing something new every single day. In fact, if you did that, you'd probably break stuff. Yes, at the high level where you're deciding what the product is, what the business you're building, yes, 100%, that is more entrepreneurial, that is more creative, but for the jobs, the 9-to-5 jobs, that is not necessarily the case, and this does not rely on human empathy. This is you communicating with a machine. Again, the AIs are really good at this because they speak the same language. So this is, I think, this is information that we know about, we've been just talking about. What is interesting here is, one, it's from Andrej Karpathy. He's a co-creator of ChatGPT. He's a very smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Two, he's assessed the whole, so 143 million jobs, the whole of the US market. So he's looked at everything across the board and used that to come up with a relative indicator of who is more at risk than others. And then 3, the fact that he removed it is very interesting. Where's the law? Oh, there it is, lawyers. The lawyers are always telling me that they're safe and they'll be absolutely fine. And they're very good at arguing it too because they're lawyers, but he's got them down as 8 out of 10. Lawyers perform high-level knowledge work. Yep. That is almost entirely digital, involving document drafting, legal research, and complex data analysis, all areas where LLMs excel, while courtroom advocacy and high-stakes interpersonal negotiation provide a protective barrier. The vast majority of billable hours are not that, basically. So people always push back. They're like, well, AI can't go to court. It's like, well, yeah, that's a very small amount of legal work. Most legal work is, no offense, legal professionals, but it's paper pushing. It is documentation. It is preparing documents. AI is really good at that, and that's what it's going to eat out from underneath the legal profession. Yes, you can still put on your wig and go to court, absolutely, but that's a very, very small percentage, and the rest of it, done. So I will put this in the newsletter tomorrow, so you can go and have a look. You can try and find yourself. There isn't really a useful search mechanism, so what you have to do is find your sector and then work out from there. And it will also give you ideas of, if you want to protect yourself, what should you be looking at? And it is things that are more physical. So here we go, the trades are here. Construction, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, 100%, masonry workers. We're still going to need toilets, we're still going to need pipes, we need people building stuff, and until robotics catches up, that's going to be a while. Maintenance, servicing, so again, physicality here. Childcare, elderly care up here, home health. So food and beverage, that's interesting. Oh, let's see if they have transportation. I'm very interested to see if transportation is here. Where would that be? Is this it? Civil engineers, public relationships, like things like trucking. I'm not seeing it. Ah, here we go. Delivery truck drivers, 3 out of 10. So they've got them in here. So heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers is 5 out of 10. Yeah, primary target for autonomous vehicle AI, and delivery truck drivers is 3 out of 10. So it's the more unpredictable last mile environments. So heavy goods driving is mainly on freeways, it's mainly on highways, so it's more predictable. Whereas delivery truck drivers, I mean, I'm thinking of our Amazon trucks here in London, that's a lot more complicated to navigate than going on a motorway, going on a highway. So because it's a last mile environment, that is more unpredictable than getting on the highway and driving for 500 miles, for example. Okay, very, very interesting. Again, this will be in the newsletter tomorrow. You can sign up for the newsletter at aiwithkyle.com. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but the main thing is you will get the newsletter every single day with a written summary of the live. Oh, somebody's asking, where is procurement? Let's see if I can search. No. It'd be really useful if they had a procurement. Maybe I should recreate this and add a search on it. I think I might do that. I've got nothing else to do. I'm not running a business. It's fine. I might replicate this and add an ability to search, because it's a bit annoying, because you asked me where procurement is and I have no idea. We've got engineering, public relations, 8 out of 10, psychologists, 6 out of 10, interestingly, graphic designers, data scientists, procurement. Oh, might be in here. No, these are managers. It's not quite the same, is it? Information clerks, material, postal service worker, financial clerks, receptionists. No, that's not it. It's probably here. This is like professionals. So we've got accountants, human resources, market research, management analysis, project management. Here we go. Purchasing managers. Closer. 7 out of 10. So this is purchasing managers. It's not procurement specifically. Core of the task is analysing price proposals, monitoring inventory, and reviewing financial reports. Highly susceptible to AI automation and optimization. Let's keep going. Compliance officers, claims adjusters, personal financial advisors, loan officers, logisticians, event planning, fundraisers, financial analysts. I'm not going to say logisticians again. costimators, insurance underwriters, property appraisers, compensation, financial examiners, budget. I'm not seeing it specifically. The closest is probably this purchasing manager. I know it's not the same, but that's probably the closest. If you go on the page, have a look around. I'd love to know if you can find yourself, because you'll know. Ooh, travel agents, 9 out of 10. I'm surprised travel agents are even still around, considering the internet. I always find it bizarre walking past a travel agent. It's like, oh, you guys are okay, still here apparently. Therapists, says Spark Online Marketing. So I've got psychologists down here. Psychologists are 6 out of 10. Let's see if we can find therapists. Medical scientists. Oh, these are like academics. So a therapist is probably up here, right? This is healthcare. Radiologist, dental hygienist, medical record specialist, massage therapist, only 2 out of 10. That's nice. Therapist. It must be here. Physical therapists, respiratory therapists, veterinary, dentists, physicians, OTs, phlebotomists. No, it must be larger than this. Okay, because this is so hard to find jobs, this definitely needs to be remade with a search engine, is what I'm learning from this, because this is a real pain. I'm not seeing therapists. I'm seeing OT, ENT, pharmacists, dental assistants, physical therapists, dental hygienists, nurse, pharmacy technicians, licensed practical and vocational nurses, nursing assistants, physicians and surgeons, medical assistants. Really tricky. Okay. I'm gonna go mad if I keep staring at this thing. What I will say is go and have a look yourself, basically, because you will know what sector you fall into better than I do, because it's really hard for me. Because somebody just asked about teachers. I can find this. Kindergarten and elementary schools, 6 out of 10. Interestingly, AI will significantly automate back-end knowledge work such as lesson planning, grading, and administrative communication, which currently occupy a large portion of a teacher's time. Okay, so, I mean, this is an awesome thing in a way. I have lots of friends who are teachers, primary and secondary school teachers primarily. They spend so much time at the weekends, the evenings, and their holidays preparing their lesson plans. If they don't need to do that, if AI can assist with that kind of stuff, it can help make bespoke curriculums for their kids. That's fantastic. That it reduces the amount of work they have to have. What that might mean, though, is that we potentially need less teachers, because if we just have teachers that are all of their administration, all of their operational, all of their grading, all of the lesson planning and stuff is done for them, we might not need as many people on those kind of jobs, and we can just put more teachers into classrooms, which is fantastic for the kids. It's fantastic for the well-being of those teachers who are still in that job. We may need less teachers. That's going to be the big question. So post-secondary teachers, it's got a 7 out of 10. So that's curriculum design, writing, research. Again, it's saying these are the roles that can be taken over, but that gives us more time to work with our actual students, which is awesome. High school teachers, 7 out of 10 as well. Teaching assistants, 4 out of 10. That is less because they do less curriculum and support tasks like grading, and more hands-on working in the classroom with the kids, so they're less at risk because that component, that role of their particular job is less at risk to AI. So it looks like most of the teachers is kind of mid-risk. And then if you spend more time on like curriculum development like this, and a constructional coordinator, you will have a higher risk. Whereas if you spend less time on that and more time with the kids, with your students, like a preschool teacher or a teacher assistant, then you are less at risk. I think that's fair. Perfumers and sommeliers. Sommeliers they probably do have, actually. Perfumers I think is a bit niche. I think it's going to be a very small square. Sommeliers they'll have, though. Waiters, here we go. Waiters and waitresses, 3 out of 10. food preparation workers, 2 out of 10. Bartenders, 2 out of 10. Chefs and head cook, 3 out of 10. So I would say sommeliers would be in this kind of area, probably a 3 out of 10. Master CFC says you'll get everyone just becoming an electrician and plumber. Yeah, this is the risk. The risk is that people will see this like, oh, construction, that's 1 out of 10. I better retrain. Or electricians, 2 out of 10. Carpenters, 2 out of 10. Plumber, 2 out of 10. The risk here is that everyone rushes into that, and then we have too many plumbers, electricians, and tradespeople, and the supply of tradespeople increases. The demand does not necessarily go up, because if the rest of the world, if all of these people, all these in these red jobs are suddenly out of work and out of money, then the amount of construction, the amount of electrician work, the amount of plumbing, the amount of carpentry that needs to be done decreases, because we go into a recession. So we might end up with 1, too many people going into the trades, causing an oversupply of labor. 2, the market itself correcting downwards because there's less money. So there'll be less money to spend on, for example, high-end carpentry. So there will be second and third order effects. We can't just look at this and be like, oh, well, I'll become this because that's going to be safe. I think the safest thing you can do is have options, optionality. And that is why I built AI with Kyle, is to promote this idea of creating options for yourself, diversifying what it is you do. So I suggest you all start something on the side. You keep your 9-to-5 job for as long as, excuse me, Siri, you keep your 9-to-5 job for as long as humanly possible, which may not be long according to this chart, but you continue to get that paycheck because we will need it. But at the same time, you start to set something up on the side. Multiple things if you can. You start to build additional sources of income. And it could be a business, it could be freelancing, it could be consulting, it could be, I mean, there's many other ways you can make money. But the reason we do that is not because your online business or your consulting or your freelancing is necessarily going to be safer, but we do it so we have options. So that if one of these income sources gets obliterated, if you're a software developer or customer support specialist and that's gone a year or 2 from now, at least you have a different option. That doesn't mean the other option will be will definitely work, but if you have 3 or 4 different sources of income, you have the ability to move between them, and it gives you a bit more flexibility. Whereas most people just have one job, one industry, one training, and basically all in on that continuing to exist, which it may not. So it's time to diversify and spread your bets a little bit. And that's why I built AI with Kyle. And we have courses here, like this is a free course, a 10-week course on how to start a business using AI. There's never been a better time ever than right now to create something. Really exciting time. I've had 30 odd businesses over the last 20 years, and I've never seen such an opportunity as now to build something. Oh dear, apparently my volume is very low on YouTube. That's going to be annoying. Let me see if I can fix that. Sorry, TikTok. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it's low. Let me boost it a little bit. There we go. Oh yeah, that is low. Ba 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 ba. I'm not sure why that's so low over on YouTube, and I don't know if you're getting it low over on TikTok, but nobody said anything. Let me quickly adjust this. It's also low on LinkedIn. Oh, hey Jackie. So this is from, if you go to joshkale.github.io/jobs, you'll be able to find it there. I'll also put it in the newsletter, and I'll put it in the WhatsApp group as well. Just push that better on YouTube. Okay, it should be fine. I'm just pumping the volume a little bit. I don't know why it's any different, honestly, because I haven't changed anything unless I've bumped into something. That's weird. TikTok's saying the volume's fine. Okay, thanks. I have yet to have one of my business concepts that are proven to succeed get output by AI. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty early on. Vindaloo says software support, I'm doomed. I think this, don't see this as written in stone. See this as a heads up, and be kind of happy that you're seeing this earlier than a lot of people are. The fact that this is coming has not been recognized by many people out there, and if you are watching this live stream, if you're watching this on YouTube or social media later, you are well ahead of the curve, so you have more time to reposition yourself. Do not quit the job. Stay in that job as long as possible. I fear that a couple of years from now we'll be in a position where we'll be looking back and being like, oh, remember when I had that 9-to-5 job and they just paid me every month? That was nice. So hold on to that, because I think as unemployment starts to increase, we're seeing it already, we will look back at now with 15% youth unemployment, and we'll think, oh, those were the good old days, because I think it's going to get worse. So hang on to your job. Absolutely hang on to your job. Okay, so I'll put that in the newsletter so you can find your own job, and you can make of that what you will. But as long as you are appraised of the situation, you know what's going on. I think that's important. I wanted to have a look at this, which is really cool. So if you haven't seen it, there's a YouTube documentary called The Thinking Game about Google DeepMind and AlphaFold in particular. AlphaFold is a technology that helps to fold, I'd say helps to, that folded all of the proteins on Earth, so you can work out uses of proteins for pharmaceuticals, medical purposes, etc. And there's been this, I'll read the whole article because it's fascinating. So a guy in Australia has used AI and ChatGPT to create a cancer vaccine for his dog, and it worked. So this dude, he spent some money on this, and he had to go through a lot of red tape, but he's built a vaccine which has reduced his dog's cancer by half. He did it using ChatGPT and the protein folding data from from AlphaFold, from Demesis Arbus's DeepMind AlphaFold project. Very cool. Now this is, it's kind of a toy example. So I've seen a lot of people say, oh, why did he do all of this? Why did he spend thousands of dollars trying to save a dog? And he just saved his dog. What's the big deal here? You need to look beyond this, beyond the specific story, to realize what the larger implications of this are. So this guy had a dog called Rosie, funny looking mutt dog, I'm sure very cute, only had months to live until this guy, what's his name, Paul Corningham, got to work, had Rosie's DNA synthesized, or got the genome for, I think, $3,000, the exact genome, fed it into AlphaFold, fed it into ChatGPT, and worked out how to synthesize a vaccine. Is vaccine the right word? Yeah, cancer vaccine. That's a wild word. A tailored vaccine for his dog's Rosie's cancer, and it worked. And they reduced the cancer by half using this hyper tailored vaccination. Now, obviously, this is just for his dog. This is just one person. The implications of this, though, are personalized medicine. The ability to create drugs, to create pharmaceuticals, to create vaccines for cancer, apparently, that are tailored to a specific individual. Because a lot of the problem when we give medicines and pharmaceuticals to people is because it's a broad range drug. So it's going to come with side effects. It's going to mean it's less applicable to that particular person. What he's just shown us is you can use AI and you can go ahead and create personalized, tailored medicine. Really cool. Oh, I should point out, this guy's not medical. He is not a medical practitioner, but he went ahead and used these tools. So Mr. Corningham threw thousands of dollars at veterinary chemotherapy and surgery, which slowed but failed to shrink the tumours. Now, after treatments with a custom mRNA, ribonucleic acid cancer vaccine over the Christmas break, the tennis ball-sized tumour on Rosie's hock has shrunk in half in a recovery that has astounded researchers at the cutting edge of human cancer treatments. I was like, holy crap, it worked. Says Martin Smith, an associate professor of computational biology. God bless Australia, and director of the Ramaciotti Centre of Genomics at the University of New South Wales. It raises a question: if we can do this for a dog, why aren't we rolling this out to humans, to all humans with cancer? It gives hope to a lot of people, and it's something we're passionate about trying to chase up here. So what I love about this story is it's just a guy who thought, sod it, I'll give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? So he is a non-medical professional. He threw the information into ChatGPT. He got this genomic sequence for $3,000. I went to ChatGPT and came up with a plan on how to do this, he said. The first step was to reach out to the university to get Rosie's DNA sequenced. The idea is you take healthy DNA out of her blood and you take the DNA out of her tumour and you sequence both of them to see exactly where the mutations have occurred. So you can see the difference, basically. It's like having the original engine of your car and a version of the engine 300,000 kilometers down the road. You can then compare them and see where there's damage. So again, this is hyper-tailored to this particular dog in this case. But extrapolate out, we can do this with humans. Once the University of New South Wales produced the DNA sequence, Mr. Corningham ran it through a whole bunch of different data pipelines to find those mutations, and then I used other algorithms to find drugs to treat the cancer. Again, he is not a medic, he is not a pharmaceutical researcher, but he used AI tools at his disposal to get this done. Paul was relentless. This is Professor Smith again. He called and told me he had analyzed the data and found mutations of interest, and then used AlphaFold, an AI program. Again, this is the one created by DeepMind, and there's a whole movie about it called The Thinking Game. He used AlphaFold to find the proteins that were mutated and then identified potential targets and matched them to drugs. And he was wondering, could I help him find someone to synthesize this compound that he'd identified? So, the very interesting thing here is that it took more time to get the green light, to cut through the red tape, to synthesize and administer this vaccine. It took more time to do that took several months, than it did for an amateur, a non-pharmaceutical researcher to come up with the idea for the vaccine. It took more time to get the go-ahead to use this stuff. This is the first time a personalized cancer vaccine has been designed for a dog, Professor Thorardson said. This is still at the frontier of where cancer immunotherapeutics are, and ultimately, if we're going to use this for helping we're going to use this for helping humans. What Rosie, the dog, is teaching us is that personalized medicine can be very effective and done in a time-sensitive manner with mRNA technology. Very, very, very cool. I'm going to put this whole article, I'll remove the paywall as well, so that more people can get access to it, into the newsletter tomorrow. Basically, the technology is well ahead of the ethics of this. So Mr. Corningham, he still needed ethics approval to use it. Even though the vaccine was ready, he was not allowed to use it on his dog. I had to do everything by the book because you can't just willy-nilly create a vaccine in Australia, he said. The red tape was actually harder than the vaccine creation, and I was trying to get the Australian ethics approval to run a drug trial on Rosie. So he needed to get a full drug trial approval to run on one dog, his dog. It took me 3 months, putting 2 hours aside every single night just typing up this 100-page document. But it turns out he actually did it through the university in the end. So the university said, we'll do it under our umbrella, basically. We have an ethics policy. We have all of that sorted out. We will get it done. And you can see poor Rosie's tumours, left to right. This was over 2 months. The tumours started to drop away. The striking thing about this is the idea of citizen science, where a punter in the streets with a computer science background can use their skills in the scientific process, Professor Thomas says. That's a very impressive thing. So, yeah, very cool. And again, I talked about this on socials the other day, and people were like, oh, it's just a dog. He just saved one dog. It's like, that is not the point. You need to pay attention. This is the dawning of personalized medicine, the ability to synthesize an mRNA vaccine for an individual person on an individual level based on their individual genome cost effectively. Yeah, very exciting. And thanks to AI. So when people were like, oh, AI is just going to destroy the world and it's a terrible, terrible technology, you have to point them towards this kind of information because, one, he used ChatGPT to help him work out what the process was. So he used it as an assistant to guide him through how to make a personalized cancer vaccine. ChatGPT was like, yeah, cool, sounds like a great project. And then two, they used AlphaFold. So AlphaFold is also based on generative artificial intelligence. It is Gen AI based. So this would not have been possible, nor what the implications of this are, which are being able to cure cancers individually in humans, probably in the next few years. So this is mind-blowing news. Who provide? Oh, we've got a vet. We have a vet in chat. Who provided the treatment? It was University of New South Wales, I believe. So they had to get it done under the ethics policy. Oh, no. No, I'm sorry. Half the world away, Mari Mader, founder of the Canine Cancer Alliance in the US. So the dog is from Australia. Came across the University of North South Wales website item about Mr. Corningham's quest for a cure. Eager to assist, Dr. Mader alerted Rachel Alavena, a canine immunotherapy professor at the University of Queensland School of Veterinary Science in the county town of Gatton. Okay, so it was still in Australia. I run cancer research programs in dogs where we look at a lot of experimental immunotherapy, so I had ethics in place that would cover Paul's type of vaccine, Professor Alavena said. In my research group, we have therapies to wake the dog's immune system up so they realize that the cancer is a bad thing and fight it. But I wouldn't know how to even begin designing something like this. It's a much more technologically advanced one that I would normally develop myself. Paul is obviously a super smart guy. He's been a real trailblazer in terms of where this technology will go. Paul, again, is the non-vet. He is the non-pharmaceutical researcher. So it looks like it went through this laboratory in Gatton. So the bespoke vaccine was cold-freighted to Gatton, and Mr. Corningham drove 10 hours with Rosie for her first injection in December, followed by a booster shot last month and another due next week. It's definitely working, Professor Alavena said. When it happens that first time, it's magical. Rosie's cancer was really, really advanced, but one tumour has shrunk quite a lot, probably halved. Even though it hasn't completely disappeared, she's much more comfortable because the tumour was so big, it was tennis ball size. And Rosie is not a big dog. And now the cancer's shrunk away. Even the glossiness of a coat, she just looks a lot happier and healthier. This is the first time anyone's ever done this therapy, but it won't be too far down the line before we can have personalised therapies for individual pets and humans. There's going to be a lot of red tape, there's going to be a lot of ethics involved, but the technology is getting us there, which is really, really exciting. Katie, I'll send it over to you, because obviously as a vet, this is very specific and something you can cover. I'm sure people will be very interested to hear about this. Imagine doing this in the EU. Both of them would have died before they got the approval. Yeah. So the full article, Jess, will be in the newsletter tomorrow. You can also find it on The Australian, but it is behind a paywall, just FYI. So I'll put it out for you tomorrow. Dr. Katie saying, yes, even for palliative care seems valuable. Yeah. Yeah, just for comfort. Just being able to reduce the size of that tumour. Because Rosie's not a big dog. What is Rosie? Oh, Rosie is a Staffy Sharpei. Or cutie. But one of the tumours was the size of a tennis ball. And for a dog that is not that large, that is horrendous. Awesome. A couple of other items. One, I think it's worth commenting on because of the absence of Meta. So, over the last couple of years, there have really been a few large American Western labs. There's been Google, there has been OpenAI, creators of ChatGPT, there's been Anthropic, creator of Claude, and Meta. Meta created the Llama models. So Meta owned Facebook and Instagram, and whilst you might not have used their models on a day-to-day basis, they created the Llama family, which were, up until a year or so ago, pretty much the main open source models in the West. I'm not talking about China right now. They kind of stopped, and they haven't been publishing or pushing anything for the last 9 months or a year or so. And this is despite Mark Zuckerberg poaching and spending huge amounts of money, like $100 million plus payment packages equity and payment on engineers. He was poaching lots of engineers over into the Meta superintelligence lab, but they haven't released anything. Nothing's been coming out. So we've now heard that Meta has delayed the release of Avocado, that is the code name for their new model, until at least May, after it underperformed on interval evaluations, according to reporting by the New York Times. They're considering licensing Gemini from Google as a temporary solution. This reads to me like they are out of the race. So we had 5. We had Anthropic, we had OpenAI, we had Google, we had XAI, kind of, who made Grok, and we had Meta, who made the Llama family. We're down to 3. We're down to OpenAI, ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and Google Gemini. And the others are unable to keep up. Because when you release a new model, you've probably noticed this. I notice this because I cover it every day. When you release a new model, when the new Claude comes out, or the new Gemini comes out, or the new ChatGPT comes out, it has to be better than all the other models. So all the benchmarks need to, as a bare minimum, be better. They need to kind of elevate it to the next level. So every few weeks we get a new model, and it's like, oh my God, this is Gemini Pro 3.1, and it absolutely murders ChatGPT 5.3. And then a week later, ChatGPT will be like, okay, well, we have ChatGPT 5.4, and this destroys Gemini. And then, Claude will come out. It's like, well, here's Opus 4.6. I'm getting all the orders wrong. It doesn't really matter. There's always a slightly better model, and they only release when it's slightly better, because if they don't, their marketing fails, and nobody's going to use it. You need to not only be better. It's not enough to be the same. You have to beat the previous models. And Meta, it looks like, cannot do that. So Meta's new frontier AI model, Avocado, which the company has been working on for months, has fallen short of the performance of leading AI models from Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic. So they've tested it. It's not as good as what is already out there in the world. So if they release it now, the response will be a collective shrug. Everyone will be like, well, why would I use it? I've already got better models. So because of that, it's not good at reasoning. It's not as good at coding and writing. So that's everything. They were not authorized to speak publicly about the confidential matters, but it's been leaked to the New York Times. The model, codenamed Avocado, outperformed Meta's previous AI models. Yeah, but that was like a year ago, and did better than Google's Gemini 2.5 model from last March. Yeah, a year ago. 2 of the people said, but it has not performed as strongly as Gemini 3 from November, they said. Okay, so a model from a year ago, last March, AI moves too quickly. So if they release something that is equivalent to last summer, last April, 2025 May or something like that, that's not going to cut it. So they're not releasing, basically. And the big thing here is they are considering licensing Gemini from Google. So in the same way that Apple are putting Gemini into Siri, and that's meant to be releasing in March, so that should be soon. Gemini are becoming the go-to if you need to license a model. So people are not licensing from Anthropic, they're not licensing from OpenAI, but instead from Google. And the fact that Meta will be licensing from Google as well, potentially, will further solidify that lock that Google is increasingly having. So Google is going to have Gemini on iPhone. Google has Gemini on Android, because Android belongs to Google. I'm sorry, Android is Google. They created Android. Gemini is coming into Chrome. Chrome is 70% of the browser market. So basically Gemini is being inserted into all of the devices, all of the different platforms that we use. And I think this is how Google slowly and silently win this. Is not by people necessarily downloading the application, which they're doing as well, but instead by it being inserted into everything. So it just becomes the default. In the same way that Google search is the default search, Gemini will just become the default AI that is in all of our devices. It's the thing that we will use because it's a simple artificial intelligence. They're just covering all the surfaces. Yeah, so it looks like Meta are very much out of the race. It's fine. They were creating open source models, and the open source models were good and they were often used, but then the Chinese started creating better open source models. So I haven't really seen that many people talking about or using Meta AI products for a while now. So I think they're basically out of the race. They're done. What's the name of the YouTube documentary you mentioned? So there are two. Thinking Minds, AlphaGo. So there are two. There's one called The Thinking Game, which is about Google DeepMind, excuse me. It is free, and it's very, very good. This is about basically DeepMind from its inception, from the very beginning, until the AlphaFold, so the protein folding technology, which co-won Demis Hassabis the Nobel Prize a couple of years ago. So went on to be awarded a Nobel Prize, yeah. Fantastic, highly recommend. And it's all available on YouTube. There is another one, and you've actually named it in the comment, which is AlphaGo. AlphaGo is a different documentary which was released before. So this is the first one, which is also available. Also available for free on YouTube. This is specifically about building AlphaGo, and then AlphaZero, which is a Go playing artificial intelligence. So for a long time, because we're very parochial, humans said, oh, AI will never be able to beat a human being in something like chess. Chess is too complicated. And obviously, I think it was 1997, Deep Blue demolished Kasparov, and since then, chess has been a solved problem. So the argument pushed back to, oh, well, fine, you can brute force chess because there's a limited number of combinations. It will never be able to play Go because it is it's a 20 by 20 board, 19 by 19 board. So the number of potential permutations of each move is larger than the atoms in the universe. So you cannot brute force a Go move. So computers will never ever be able to beat human beings in Go. That's what this documentary is about, and about Demis Hassabis and his team building this AI to master the game of Go. And then from there, using these systems in wider artificial intelligence. So we use games because it gives us a constraint. It allows us to develop these systems within a particular space where we know if it's won or if it's losing. So it's a very simplified view of the world. The same technologies that we build to play these games can then be expanded out and built upon for the much more complex reality of our everyday life. So that's why it's not just playing a game. In the same way that this cancer medication being created using ChatGPT and AlphaFold is not just about saving a dog. The winning of the game of Go against Lee Sedol is not just about playing Go. It's a much more important technology. So both of these documentaries are fantastic. You can watch them in either order. Honestly, they're fairly independent. But I think The Thinking Game is probably stronger. It's a stronger film, but they're both excellent, and I highly recommend watching them both. Okay. I wanted to finish up, just quickly finish up, talking about skills. So on last Friday, I talked about skills and what they were. Basically, it's like Neo in the Matrix when he learns Kung Fu. It's inserted into his head, and he learns the skill of Kung Fu. I put together where is it? Oh, I haven't done a full presentation. No, God, I've done so many presentations, I'm forgetting which one I did. I did a few videos about Claude Skills, and people were very interested in them, so I will do a full presentation. But basically what a skill is it allows you to give your AI, in particular Claude, but now ChatGPT has skills, it allows you to give it it says right here, a reusable capability for AI agents. So it allows you to give domain experience a set of instructions, background knowledge about a particular task to an AI that it can call upon at any time in order to complete a task. So let's say you are writing tweets, for example, using artificial intelligence. I don't recommend it. Don't fill the internet with more AI content. But let's say, for a nice basic example, you have a tweet building skill. You could create that skill, giving it all of the best practices in what leads to a viral tweet, given it information about your tone of voice, your brand, what kind of sentences you use, what kind of wording you do not use, topics that you're interested in, topics you're not interested in. You could package it all up. And basically a skill package is it's a folder. It's a folder that has all of this information in it. So here's an official one, brand guidelines, for example. It has a markdown file called skill and a license. It is just, here we go, a text document which tells the AI how to apply this particular skill. Very, very basic, but from this, you can do some really cool things because it allows you to package up knowledge and package up repeated processes into a little folder that can be called upon only when the AI needs to use the actual skill. And you can use it across Claude Chat, Claude Code, and Claude Cowork, which makes them incredibly powerful if you are running a business. Now, I personally prefer using skills to MCP. I won't go too much into what MCP is because skills are very lightweight. They will only be called upon when your AI needs to use that skill, which means you're not clogging up the memory with all of the instructions, all of the kind of system level instructions required for it to complete a task. It will only grab them when it needs to, which means the AI is much less likely to run out of memory, run out of context before it's able to do your task. So there is a page here called skills.sh, which has 88,000 skills on it, which is too many skills. You don't need that many skills. What it does though, it has a ranking. So you can see the most popular skills. So the top one, interestingly, is one called Find Skills, which is a skill that helps you discover and install skills. So it's a skill that looks at this long list of skills, this 88,000 skills, and helps you choose the right one. So that kind of gives us an idea of how we should approach skills. You do not download all 88,000 skills and throw them into your project. You will overwhelm the project, but instead you pull in skills if and when they are needed. And this Find Skills one, for example, will help you to actually pull in skills only when needed. So very, very useful. What are the other ones? These are Vercel, so web design guidelines, front-end design. That's a really useful one. Remotion, so this is for videos. Yes, video editing. So this will allow Claude Code to do video editing for you. So you are basically turning Claude Code into a video editor using a skill bundle. So it gives it domain specific knowledge about how to act as a video editor. What else have we got? Let's look for some more interesting ones. SEO audit. So let's say you wanted, instead of hiring somebody to do an SEO audit for you, you can turn Claude Code into an auditor using this. Again, it's bundled up all of the domain knowledge, all of the kind of instructions, the standard operating procedures needed to just carry out this task for you. So you can see, we can read through what it does. So first it will grab the site context. What type of site is it? What's the primary reason? They're doing SEO, current state, scope, etc. And it will just work through this long audit. Here we go. It's a very long audit, as if it was an SEO expert. And this is all built into this skill for you. And this is all free. So there are a lot here, a huge amount, 88,000 skills. What I wanted to show you was one, this site, and the fact that the top skill is this Find Skill one. So you add that into your project, and then when you have a certain task, you say, hey, we need to find a skill for this. Can you help me? And Claude Code will do so. I also want to show you a few specific repos. First up is the Anthropic one. So this is the official Anthropic repo. They have a bunch in here. You probably already have this turned on inside of your Claude, but if not, there's a few more in here. So they have things like the ability to create PDFs, the ability to create PowerPoints, etc. Having these activated inside of Claude, Claude Code, or Claude Cowork just increases the capability of Claude so they can act on your behalf. Let's look at some more interesting ones. So some Claude skills by Curiosity Tech. These are Claude skills that make his life easier. I found these pretty useful. I'm not going to go through them all, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these into the newsletter tomorrow, so you can have a look around. This one here, Awesome Claude Skills. This is probably the one that I install second after the official one. So this is Awesome Claude Skills. Claude Skills teach Claude how to perform tasks in a repeatable way. This one has the ability to create and analyze Word documents, nice and basic, PDF, PowerPoint, and Excel. The ability to create generative art, canvas design, GIF creators, front-end design, web artifacts builder, MCP builder, web app testing, brand guidelines, internal comms, skill creator, and then iOS simulator skill, playwright skill, so automating web browsing, so Claude Code can go and look at websites for you, front-end slides, generating web assets like favicons. This is a web asset generator to create social media images. So let's say you create that Twitter script using a viral Twitter article generator or whatever. You would then use the web asset generator to create images for you, etc, etc. So I will put all of these into the newsletter. The only other one I wanted to talk about was this one. This is from Ali Rezavani. I'm going to say his name incorrectly, I'm sorry, which is 192 Claude Code skills and agent plugins. And again, there's a huge amount in here. So marketing skills, for example, is here. Things like AI SEO, analytics tracking, app store optimization, brand guidelines, campaign analytics, churn prevention, cold email, competitor alternatives, basically a whole marketing team built into a bunch of skills for you. Very, very cool. What I'll probably do is, because this is quite abstract, I'll probably do a presentation where I'll show these in action and what they can do, because just looking at these folders is a little bit dry. But what I'll do for now is put all of these resources into the newsletter tomorrow so that you can have a look around. These are the ones that I personally recommend because it is overwhelming otherwise. And then I'll do a presentation later in the week showing you what these do and how to actually use them. But you can get started by just browsing through them and find ones that look useful for you. Awesome. Oh, yes, let me talk about that. I just saw somebody mention this. Does Claude have a special promo? Yeah, with special usage between specific hours. It does. And if you are in Europe, this is fantastic. So a small thank you to everyone using Claude. We're doubling usage outside of our peak hours for the next 2 weeks. So this is like a spring break bonus, basically. This is fantastic if you're in the UK because this triggers, here we go, 2 times usage on weekdays outside 5 to 11 a.m. Pacific time, or 2 to 6 p.m. GMT. So we can use it all morning. Outside, yeah, we can use it all morning up until midday in the UK and get double usage. Really, really cool. And then America wakes up, California wakes up, and we go back to normal usage. But because we're in Europe, we're in a really good position here. If you're in Australia, then then you're going to be continuously outside of this, so you're in a really good position. So I just need to complete this. And that applies everywhere. So Claude Code on the free, Pro, Max, and Teams plan. This feels a little bit to me like a pushback on Codex giving double usage, because people have moved over to Claude over the last couple of weeks for various reasons, some of the political reasons, and been annoyed with the usage. In fact, it's got really tight usage on it. So this kind of feels like a bit of a pushback on that. Because even I'm somebody who really likes Claude. When I did my presentations on Claude last week, I was like, well, the big problem is usage. If you're only paying $20 a month, or God forbid you're on the free plan, you're stuffed. Like, you're not going to be able to use it very much. So they are pushing you to upgrade to $100 a month, which is a lot. Whereas if $20 a month is your budget, I'd recommend ChatGPT and GPT Codex, which is their coding model, because you get just a huge amount of usage. And at the moment, ChatGPT have 2 times usage up until April. So this feels from Anthropic like they are trying to combat that, trying to get people embedded into their ecosystem and not going back to Codex. But Codex is very good. Interestingly, I saw this tweet from a guy called Pranit, who said, Anthropic just pulled the oldest trick in SaaS pricing. I pay $200 a month for Claude Max. My limits have been noticeably worse this past week. I personally haven't noticed this, but I That doesn't mean he hasn't. Now they announced 2 times off-peak usage for 2 weeks. Sounds generous, but here's what's actually happening. Limits quietly drop. A temporary 2x makes the reduced limit feel normal. The promo ends and you're left at the baseline lower than where you were started. You just didn't notice the downgrade because the 2x absorbed the transition. These AI plans are massively subsidized, true. The raw compute behind a heavy user costs multiples of the subscription price, true. Every move like this is the subsidy quietly correcting. Very sneaky Anthropic. So I haven't noticed any increases in the limits, honestly. I've been absolutely fine, but it doesn't mean that he hasn't. What I do love is that Tariq, he works at Claude Code and he's very active on Twitter, he pushed back and he said, nah, it's just bonus 2 times, it's not that deep. It's like, nah, he's talking shit. Anyway, for everyone else, great, 2 times usage, off peak. So again, if you are in Europe, that is fantastic because all morning we get double usage and then our evening as well. Oh, and 2 time usage all day at the weekends. So no need to go out, just stay home and build. Do not touch grass, do not enjoy spring. There is only Claude Code. Cool. Thank you, everybody. So everything will be in the newsletter tomorrow, as always. I will put in this chart to show the AI exposure in the US job market, and you'll be able to find your own. I'll insert that into the newsletter so you can find that. I will also add the story that we covered about the personalized cancer vaccine that was used to treat a dog who had cancer, and obviously the implications of that are much more wide-reaching. This is the beginning of personalized medicine for human beings. So I will add that. I'll add that without the paywall so you can get into it. And I'll also add these resource links for the Claude skills that we talked about. And later on in the week, I'll do a proper presentation on what skills are as well, because I know there's a lot of interest right now. That is all going to be available in the newsletter. The newsletter's at aiwithkyle.com. Totally free to sign up and you'll get a lot more information from there. There's a bunch of free courses, a catalogue of 100+ playbooks, just a load of material, loads of free material. So head over to aiwithkyle.com and you'll be able to find all of that. Fantastic. I will be back tomorrow, roughly the same time, 10 or 11 in the morning, UK time. Until then, thank you so much.